Why this conversation can change lives. Have you ever found yourself wondering why something that once felt so natural, even comforting, now feels awkward, rushed, or worse, emotionally disconnected? You're not alone. And if you're a man over 60, this conversation might just change the way you see yourself, not just sexually, but emotionally and spiritually. For decades, society has trained men to be silent about their intimate needs. We've been told that real men don't talk about masturbation, that aging means decline, and that pleasure is something reserved for the young. But here's the truth. No one tells you your body doesn't become irrelevant after 60. In fact, it's calling out for a different kind of attention, one rooted in wisdom, respect, and evolution. And yes, masturbation, a word that still makes some people squirm, is part of that story, not because it's taboo, but because it's deeply personal, and in many ways profoundly powerful. Why this video matters. Modern science is clear. Mindful, healthy self-pleasure can reduce stress, improve sleep, protect prostate health, and boost emotional well-being, but only if done intentionally. Too many older men fall into silent habits that don't just dull their satisfaction. They can actually undermine physical health, confidence, and connection. That's why in this video, we're going to uncover 7 silent mistakes that men over 60 make with masturbation. And more importantly, how to correct them with care, courage, and curiosity. This isn't about shame. This is about reclaiming a vital part of your health and identity. So if you've ever felt disconnected from your body, if you've ever wondered whether what you're doing still works, if you've ever wanted more connection, not just with others, but with yourself, then stay with me. This journey is about more than sex. It's about self-respect. And if you're ready, let's start with the first and perhaps most misleading myth that quietly harms more older men than you might think. Mistake 1, believing the semen retention myth. You've probably heard it somewhere on YouTube, in a podcast, maybe from a well-meaning friend. If you hold it in, your body will be stronger. You'll have more energy, more testosterone, more control. It sounds empowering, doesn't it? But here's the problem. It's only half the truth. The origins of the myth. Tension as a concept isn't new. It's rooted in ancient practices. Taoist and yogic traditions, for example, that viewed sexual energy as something that could be cultivated, redirected, or conserved for spiritual growth. There's value in that. But when these ideas are simplified into internet slogans like, "Don't ejaculate equals more power," they become misleading at best and harmful at worst. What we're seeing today is a modern-day resurgence of this idea, especially among older men who are desperate to reclaim vitality. But the truth? Your body is designed for balance, not repression. What the science says. Several studies have looked into abstinence and hormone levels. Yes, in some cases, short-term abstinence, around 3 to 7 days, may cause a temporary spike in testosterone, but it doesn't last, and the long-term benefits are unclear at best. In fact, chronic abstinence can create real issues. Pelvic congestion, a buildup of pressure that causes discomfort or even pain. Mood swings, especially when desire builds without release. Increased risk of prostate inflammation. Studies have shown that regular ejaculation may reduce the risk of prostate cancer in older men. But beyond the physical, there's the emotional toll. Suppressing your sexual needs, especially under the guise of self-control, can create anxiety, irritability, and disconnection from your own body. And here's the kicker. Many men practicing extreme retention aren't doing it from self-awareness. They're doing it out of fear. Fear of aging, fear of losing desire, fear of not being man enough. But let me say this clearly. Control doesn't mean avoidance. Real control means understanding your body and responding to its signals in a healthy, balanced way. So what's the better path? Instead of blindly following the retention trend, older men need a wiser approach. One that listens to the body's rhythms and values release not as indulgence, but as maintenance. Just like stretching your legs after sweating for hours, or drinking water when you're thirsty, healthy ejaculation supports circulation, hormone regulation, and stress relief. It's not about giving in, it's about tuning in. Real-life story. Charles, age 67. Let me tell you about Charles. A retired architect from Oregon, Charles had heard about semen retention through a podcast. Wanting to feel young again, he tried abstaining for 60 days. At first, he felt powerful, but by the second month, he became anxious, moody, and strangely distant from his wife. He eventually spoke to a urologist who gently explained the physiological downsides of long-term retention in older men. Charles was stunned. He thought he was improving his health, but in reality, he was denying his body's natural rhythm. Today, Charles practices moderate, mindful masturbation as part of his self-care routine. He reports better sleep, more emotional balance, and yes, a renewed connection with his partner. His lesson? I didn't need to control myself, I needed to respect myself. Takeaway number 1. If you're holding back out of guilt or hoping for superhuman results, pause and reflect. Are you truly feeling better, or are you denying yourself something your body was designed to experience? Healthy ejaculation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And your body, at any age, deserves respect, not punishment. Coming up, next, mistake number 2, using the same technique. Every time we'll explore how routine can rob you of pleasure and how just a few small changes can reawaken your sensitivity and satisfaction. Mistake number 2, using the same technique every time. Let me ask you a question that might hit closer to home than you'd expect. When was the last time you changed the way you touch yourself? Not just the setting, not the timing, I mean the actual technique. If you had to pause and think, you're not alone. In fact, most older men stick to the same grip, the same rhythm, and the same routine they've been using since they were teenagers. And while it might feel familiar or even comforting, this repetition can have a silent but profound downside. Routine is comfortable, but dangerous repetition builds efficiency. But when it comes to pleasure, efficiency can work against you. Using the same grip, the same hand, the same pressure, over and over, conditions your nervous system to respond only to that specific pattern. It's called sensory adaptation. Your brain and body tune out stimuli that stay the same. Think of it like a favorite song. The first time you hear it, it moves you. After the 100th time, not so much. The same thing happens with physical stimulation. The consequences. Here's what many men experience, but rarely connect to the cause. Decreased sensitivity over time. Difficulty climaxing unless under very specific circumstances. Frustration with partnered intimacy because nothing feels as good as their usual method. A creeping sense of something's wrong with me when the real culprit is just habit. And here's the deeper issue. When your body becomes reliant on one narrow form of touch, it becomes less open to the nuanced, emotional, unpredictable world of real human intimacy. Suddenly, your connection with your partner feels distant. Your arousal feels mechanical. Your pleasure feels limited. But it doesn't have to stay that way. How to break the pattern? The good news? The body can relearn, and often the smallest adjustments unlock entirely new levels of sensation and satisfaction. Here are just a few ways to break free from the same old routine. Switch hands. This alone can feel unfamiliar enough to spark new sensations. Vary pressure. Try softer, more exploratory strokes. Notice what feels subtle but pleasurable. Change rhythm. Fast, slow, teasing, pulsing. Exploration keeps the brain engaged. Use your whole hand, not just fingertips. You might be surprised how much more connected it feels. Alternate grip styles. Open palm, gentle cupping, light tapping, circular motions. There's no rule book here. This isn't about making it more complicated. It's about waking up your nerve endings and inviting your mind back into the experience. Because let's be honest, if it's all autopilot, where's the pleasure? The brain loves novelty. Here's a fun fact. Your brain releases more dopamine, the pleasure and motivation chemical, when it encounters new stimuli. That's why novelty often enhances sexual excitement, even without being extreme. Think of your self-pleasure routine like exercise. If you only ever do one movement, one way, eventually your body plateaus. But add variety and everything feels alive again. The same applies to pleasure. And remember, trying something new doesn't mean what you did before was wrong. It means you're choosing growth over stagnation. Real life story, Alan, 71. Let me tell you about Alan, a 71-year-old widower from Florida. After his wife passed, Alan stopped dating and kept mostly to himself. But over time, he noticed something unsettling. Even masturbation didn't feel the same. It took longer. It felt numb. And emotionally, it left him flat. He began to worry something was seriously wrong. But when he eventually opened up to a men's health counselor, he got a surprising answer. You're not broken, you're bored. Alan was shocked, but it made sense. For over 40 years, he'd been using the exact same motion every time. So he made a decision to get curious again. He started slow, changing his grip, slowing down, exploring with massage oil. Eventually, he even tried breathing exercises and meditation before self-touch. And you know what? His sensitivity returned, his mood improved, and for the first time in years, he said, "I didn't just feel pleasure, I felt present." That's what this is really about. Not just physical sensation, but emotional reawakening. Tools that help if joint pain, reduced dexterity, or stiffness make exploration difficult. There are tools designed to help. Textured sleeves with different internal patterns to create new sensations. Ergonomic handles for easy grip, especially for those with arthritis. Slow-speed massagers that stimulate the body gently but thoroughly. These aren't toys, they're tools for tuning into yourself again. Investing in your pleasure is not a luxury, it's a form of wellness. Takeaway number 2. If your routine has become a rut, don't abandon it, expand it. Your body has more potential than you realize, and all it takes is the willingness to step out of autopilot. Rediscovery doesn't require youth, it requires curiosity. Coming up next, mistake number 3, rushing through the experience. We'll explore how slowing down not only enhances pleasure, but transforms it into a healing, grounding ritual for men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Mistake number 3, rushing through the experience. Let's be honest for a moment. How many times have you finished before you even felt like you started? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many older men unknowingly carry a leftover habit from their youth into their golden years, the urge to finish quickly. And what used to be a necessity, whether due to privacy, shame, or simply hormones, is now quietly stealing something essential from your experience. True, lasting, emotionally connected pleasure. Why we rush, and why it no longer serves us. When we're young, the world tells us to be fast. Finish before someone walks in. Get it over with before bedtime. Satisfy the urge, move on with life. That kind of rushed, mechanical approach can get hardwired into our nervous system. It becomes automatic, even decades later, when there's no need to rush anymore. But here's the problem. What your body could bounce back from at 20 or 30, now at 60 or 70, it leaves a deeper imprint. The result? Disconnected pleasure that feels more like a task than a gift. Emotional flatness after climax. A sense that something important is missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it. The truth is your body still craves pleasure, but your body also needs time to warm up, to feel, to engage. Rushing shortcuts all of that. The beauty of slow arousal. Here's what happens when you slow down. Your nervous system activates more deeply, letting you feel subtle sensations that speed would gloss over. You breathe better, your muscles relax, and your mind becomes present. Arousal builds naturally instead of being forced, making climax stronger, not weaker. Think of your pleasure like a wave. If you rush, you barely skim the surface. But if you let the wave build and rise when it breathes and carry you, that's when the real magic happens. And here's something many men over 60 don't realize. The older you get, the more potential there is for full-body emotional pleasure, if you give it time. Real story, Eduardo, 68. Eduardo was a retired musician who described his self-pleasure as just habit. Same setting, same time of day, same rhythm, done in 5 minutes or less. But instead of feeling refreshed, he often felt tired, disconnected, even a little irritable afterward. During a wellness retreat, a therapist encouraged him to try a new approach. No goal, no rush, just breath and touch. He admitted it felt awkward at first. Like I didn't know what to do without a finish line, he said. But within a few days, something clicked. He began noticing his heartbeat, the warmth of his skin, a slow ripple of pleasure that came not from pressure, but from patience. It wasn't about release anymore, he told us. It was about reconnecting with myself in a way I hadn't felt in decades. That's the power of slowing down. The mind-body connection. Modern science backs this up. Studies in sexology and somatic therapy show that mindful touch and slower stimulation increase oxytocin, the bonding hormone, reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, improve heart rate variability, a sign of emotional resilience, enhance erectile quality and overall satisfaction. In other words, when you slow down, your whole system responds, not just sexually, but emotionally and physically. How to shift out of quick mode. Here are some practical ways to shift your pace without losing the pleasure. 1. Start with breath. Before you touch anything, spend 30 to 60 seconds just breathing. Feel your body. Notice your thoughts. Let the nervous system settle. 2. Set no goal. Remove the pressure to finish. Instead ask, what would feel good right now? This question opens the door to new sensations. Tertiary, explore touch without focus. Let your hands explore your stomach, thighs, arms, anywhere. Build sensation throughout your body, not just one area. 4. Use timing as a tool. Set a timer, not to stop yourself, but to stay engaged. For example, commit to 10 full minutes of mindful touch before you even consider climax. 5. End with stillness. Afterward, stay present. Place your hand on your chest or belly and just breathe for a moment. Let the experience land fully in your body. These are small shifts, but together they completely change your relationship with pleasure. A sacred ritual, not a secret habit. Let's reframe masturbation for what it can be. A ritual, a reset, a reconnection. When you move slowly and stay curious, this act becomes a grounding ritual before sleep, a way to reduce anxiety and tension. A celebration of your body, not in spite of age, but because of it. It's not about taking forever, it's about making the moment matter. And most importantly, slowing down gives your heart and mind a chance to catch up to your body. It turns release into restoration. Takeaway number 3, rushing may feel efficient, but in the long run, it robs you of the richness your body is still capable of. Let your pleasure breathe. Let your body lead, and discover what's been waiting beneath the surface all along. Coming up next, mistake number 4, ignoring the rest of your body. Most men focus only on one area, but your body is full of pleasure zones waiting to be rediscovered. You're not just genitals, you're a full system of sensation and emotion. Let's explore how to awaken the rest. Mistake number 4, ignoring the rest of your body. Let's shift the spotlight for a moment. When we talk about pleasure, especially for men, the conversation almost always zeroes in on one thing, the genitals. But what if I told you that by limiting your focus to just that one area, you're missing out on an entire symphony of sensation your body is still fully capable of playing even after 60? Because here's the truth. You're not just one part, you're a whole. And when you learn to involve your full body in self-pleasure, the experience transforms from mechanical to magical. The genital-centric trap. Most men grow up with a very narrow map of pleasure. Touch here, finish fast, don't explore too much. It becomes a pattern of efficiency rather than experience. But this narrow focus trains your brain and body to associate pleasure with just one kind of stimulation. Everything else, it fades into the background. Over time, this can lead to desensitization in the most overstimulated areas, boredom or emotional flatness after climax, difficulty connecting with a partner whose arousal is more full-bodied. It's like trying to appreciate music using only one note over and over again. But your body was made for more. Your body is wired for pleasure everywhere. Here's something most men don't realize. Your skin is your largest sensory organ. From head to toe, it contains millions of nerve endings, each capable of transmitting subtle and profound sensations. Some of the most overlooked erogenous zones, especially for men, include inner thighs, lower abdomen, perineum, area between scrotum and anus, nipples and chest, neck, ears, and collarbone, scalp and fingertips. When you awaken these areas, your body responds in incredible ways. Your arousal deepens, your nervous system engages, your emotions surface, and the experience becomes something far more than release. It becomes a reconnection with your aliveness. Real-life story, Koji, 65. Koji, a retired Japanese language teacher living in Hawaii, had never thought of his chest or thighs as sexual at all. That's just not where men feel things, he used to say. But after a friend in his Tai Chi group mentioned breathwork and whole-body awareness, Koji got curious. He began incorporating light touch across his body during self-pleasure, not sexually at first, just to experiment. To his surprise, he began to notice sensations in places that had felt dead for years. Gentle tracing along his thighs, light tapping across his sternum, a warm palm against his belly while breathing deeply. Eventually, this opened the door to longer, more powerful orgasms and a sense of emotional depth he hadn't felt since his 30s. I didn't realize how numb I had become, he said. It was like I found parts of myself I didn't even know I'd lost. How to awaken your full body. If you've never explored beyond the basics, here's how to ease into a more full-bodied approach to pleasure. 1. Start with exploration, not stimulation. Lie down, breathe, close your eyes. Then slowly begin touching areas outside your usual zone. arms, legs, chest, belly. Notice what feels good, what doesn't, and what surprises you. 2. Layer in temperature and texture. Try using a warm towel, a cool cloth, or different fabrics. These subtle variations can reawaken the skin and trigger deeper sensations. 3. Use 2 hands. Let one hand stay where it usually goes. Let the other explore, lightly, rhythmically, even slowly, moving toward areas you never considered. 4. Stimulate the perineum. This area, though often ignored, is connected to deep pelvic nerves. Gentle pressure or massage can intensify arousal and even contribute to full-body orgasms for some men. 5. Focus on rhythm, not results. Don't chase orgasm. Chase sensation. Let your body lead. Think of it as a dance, not a sprint. Why this matters more as you age. As men grow older, testosterone declines. Blood flow slows. Erections may take longer to form and sensitivity may fade. But the body becomes more responsive to emotional, sensual, and nervous system-based stimulation. That means pleasure isn't just possible, it's potentially richer, deeper, and more intimate. By expanding beyond the genitals, you're doing 3 important things. Reawakening nerve pathways that have gone quiet. Increasing emotional engagement with your own body. Creating new, powerful associations between arousal and self-acceptance. When you rewire, you reclaim. Some men say, "But I've been doing it one way for 40 years. Isn't it too late to change?" Absolutely not. The brain has something called neuroplasticity, its ability to adapt and create new pathways even in old age. And when you begin touching your body with attention, curiosity, and variety, you start building a new sexual vocabulary. One that doesn't rely on past patterns or youthful speed, but on presence. Helpful tools and enhancements. Want to enhance full-body engagement even more? Here are some ideas. Massage oil or warm coconut oil for gliding touch. Feathers, brushes, or textured gloves to stimulate the skin. Body-safe temperature toys to explore warm and cool contrast. Guided audio for erotic or meditative self-touch. None of this is indulgent. It's exploratory. You're not escaping your age, you're evolving with it. Takeaway number 4. If you have only ever focused on one part of your body, it's time to expand your map of pleasure. Because the truth is this, your body isn't failing you. It's waiting for you, waiting for your attention, your curiosity, your willingness to reconnect with all of you. Coming up next, mistake number 5, avoiding lubrication. As we age, natural moisture and skin sensitivity shift, but many men resist using lube, often to their own detriment. In the next part, we'll break the stigma, explore the science, and help you find the comfort you didn't know you were missing. Mistake number 5, avoiding lubrication. Let's talk about something that many men over 60 avoid, not because they don't need it, but because they think they shouldn't need it. Lubrication. For some, it feels like an admission of weakness. For others, it's simply never crossed their mind. But if you've ever felt that friction isn't as smooth as it used to be, if self-touch sometimes leaves behind irritation, dryness, or even a subtle stinging, then this message is for you. Using lube isn't a sign of aging, it's a sign of self-respect. Why older men often avoid lubrication? There are many reasons, often unspoken. I never needed it before. Why now? It feels messy or unnatural. Isn't that something that only women use? I don't want to feel dependent on anything. But these beliefs are often rooted in pride or misinformation. Because here's the truth that most men were never taught. As you age, your skin changes, your circulation slows, and your sensitivity shifts. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. And lubricants exist not because you're failing, but because they can help your body feel better, longer, and more completely. The science of touch, friction, and aging skin. As men get older, several things happen. Skin loses moisture and elasticity due to lower collagen levels and hydration. Erections may not be as firm, meaning less natural lubrication from arousal. Nerve endings become less reactive, requiring more subtle, consistent stimulation to reach the same level of satisfaction. Hands and rhino may stiffen, making longer sessions more challenging or tiring. When you add all that together, it's easy to see why dry stimulation can become uncomfortable or even damaging. Friction without adequate moisture can lead to Micro tears in the skin. Reduce sensitivity over time. Burning or lingering irritation. Negative association with self-pleasure. Now compare that to a session with lubrication. Smooth gliding touch. Enhanced warmth and pressure feedback. Reduce stress on joints and muscles. A more natural, immersive, and sensual experience. Which one sounds more honoring to your body? Real-life story. Bernard, 74. Bernard, a retired postal worker, used to believe lube was for younger guys with wild lives. Not someone like him. He had always gone dry and thought a little discomfort was just part of aging. But during a men's group, one of the members casually mentioned using lube for every session. Bernard was surprised but curious. He tried it once with a water-based, unscented product. His words, "I felt 20 years younger, not because of performance, but because it felt good again. Like really good." That night wasn't just about pleasure. It was about permission. Permission to support his changing body instead of pretending nothing had changed. How to choose the right lubricant. Not all lubes are created equal, and choosing the right one can make all the difference. Here's a simple breakdown of the three main types. Water-based lubricants, easy to clean. Compatible with most toys and skin types. May dry out faster during longer sessions. Best for first-timers, sensitive skin, or men who want a natural feel. 2. Silicone-based lubricants. Super long-lasting. Very smooth, great for dry skin, harder to wash off. Not safe with silicone toys. Best for men with arthritis or joint pain who need reduced friction for longer sessions. 3. Oil-based lubricants, moisturizing. Luxurious texture. Can clog pores or irritate some skin types. Not safe with latex condoms. Best for slow, sensual touch or massage-style sessions. Pro tip, always test a small amount on your skin first. And make sure your lube is body safe. No parabens, no artificial fragrances if you're sensitive. Bonus enhancements. Some lubricants come with warming effects. Great for reawakening slower nerve endings. Aromatherapy-infused oils. Lavender, sandalwood, or citrus for calming or energizing effects. These aren't gimmicks. They're sensory bridges. Ways to draw you deeper into presence, especially if your mind tends to wander or rush. Lube isn't cheating. It's wisdom. Think about all the other ways we adjust with age. We use reading glasses. We buy shoes with better arch support. We take longer to warm up before a walk or stretch. Do we consider these things a weakness? Of course not. They're tools. They're smart adaptations. Using lube is no different. You're not giving up on yourself. You're giving more to yourself. Shifting the emotional lens. Many older men carry subconscious shame around needing help with intimacy. But here's something powerful to remember. Needing support doesn't make you less of a man. Acknowledging your needs makes you more of one. Lube doesn't replace anything. It enhances what's already there. And sometimes a little comfort opens the door to a lot more connection. Takeaway number 5. If you're avoiding lube out of pride, habit, or simply not knowing, you might be denying your body the support it deserves. Don't just survive your intimate moments. Let them become smoother, longer, deeper, and more loving. With just a drop of awareness and a little lubricant, you may rediscover a whole new level of ease and satisfaction you thought was gone forever. Coming up next, mistake number 6, carrying shame or guilt about the act. In the next section, we'll talk about something deeper than technique, your mindset, how silent shame can sabotage pleasure, and how letting go of guilt could be the most powerful shift of all. Mistake number 6, carrying shame or guilt about the act. Let's step away from the physical for a moment and talk about something far more powerful than technique, rhythm, or sensation. It's the silent emotion that lingers in the background of so many men's intimate lives, especially those over 60. It's the emotion that creeps in when the door is closed, the lights are off, and the body begins to reach for itself. Shame. And if not shame, then guilt, discomfort, a subtle inner judgment that whispers, "You shouldn't be doing this. A man your age, grow up." If someone found out, sound familiar? You're not alone. In fact, this emotional tension is one of the most common reasons older men stop exploring pleasure. Not because the body no longer wants it, but because the mind never learned how to accept it. Where does the shame come from? For many men, the roots of guilt go back decades. A religious upbringing that called self-pleasure a sin. A father figure who called it disgusting or weak. Schoolyard jokes that made it something to mock or feel embarrassed about. A culture that never once said, "It's okay to love your own body." And here's what happens. Even though your logical adult brain knows that masturbation is normal, healthy, and private, the emotional imprint remains. Like dust in the corners of your mind, that shame doesn't go away just because you grew up. Instead, it hides in silence, in secrecy, in rushed, disconnected moments. The cost of carrying shame. Shame isn't just uncomfortable, it has real consequences on your experience. It can lead to rush sessions, done quickly to get it over with, difficulty reaching climax because your mind is fighting your body, post-orgasm emptiness, where pleasure is quickly followed by guilt, disconnection from your own identity as a sexual being. And over time, this emotional friction wears down your confidence, not just in the bedroom, but in life. Because if you can't feel safe with yourself, how can you feel fully present with others? Real life story. Thomas, 66. Thomas, a retired military man from South Carolina, hadn't touched himself in almost 12 years. Why? He said it felt wrong. He'd grown up in a conservative household. He remembered being caught at 14 and being told he'd ruined his soul. That moment never left him. Even after marriage, kids, and retirement, the guilt stayed. But after his wife passed and he was left alone in a quiet house, something stirred. Loneliness, curiosity, longing. He tried once but cried after. He couldn't understand why. Eventually, in grief therapy, he shared this memory. His counselor simply asked, "What if there was never anything wrong with you at all?" That sentence cracked something open. Slowly over months, Thomas began to give himself permission. Not just to touch, but to feel, to grieve, to be alive again. Today, he calls those moments not masturbation, but reclaiming. It's no longer shameful, he says. It's sacred. A new definition of masculinity. One of the greatest lies men are told is this: strong men don't need touch. They don't feel, they push through. But that version of masculinity is hollow. Real strength is presence, self-awareness, emotional freedom, the ability to sit with yourself without armor or apology. And that includes sitting with desire, with sensation, with your own body. Not to prove something, not to chase release, but to say, I am still here, I still matter. My needs are not shameful, they're human. How to let go of shame, one layer at a time. Letting go doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen when you meet yourself with curiosity instead of judgment. Here are a few tools that may help. 1. Identify the voice. Next time you feel guilt rise, ask, whose voice is this? Is it your parents', a teacher's, an old version of you? Awareness gives you choice. You can choose to say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I no longer need you. 2. Reframe the act. Instead of seeing self-pleasure as indulgent, begin to call it what it truly is. Self-care, stress release, hormonal regulation, emotional grounding, nervous system nourishment. Language shapes reality. Change how you talk to yourself, and your experience changes too. 3. Practice with intention. Try lighting a candle, playing gentle music, placing a hand on your heart. Let the moment feel safe, slow, and sacred. You're not hiding, you're healing. Or journal afterward. Write what you felt, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You'll start to notice patterns. What brings joy, what brings resistance, what's evolving. Over time, shame loses its grip when you meet it with honest reflection and tender presence. What the research says psychologists and sex therapists alike agree. Shame is one of the most destructive forces in a man's sexual life. Not because it's loud, but because it's quiet, hidden, carried silently. Yet studies show that older adults who maintain a healthy, shame-free relationship with their sexuality enjoy better sleep, lower blood pressure, stronger self-confidence, decreased rates of depression and loneliness, greater intimacy even without a partner. The benefits aren't just sexual, they're holistic, full life, soul deep. Takeaway number 6, you are not too old to feel, you are not too late to change, and you are absolutely not broken for wanting to reconnect with yourself, your body, or your pleasure. Let go of what you were taught and embrace who you truly are now, a man with history, wisdom, emotion, and the right to peace in your own skin. Coming up next, mistake number 7, ignoring tools and enhancements designed for you. In the final mistake, we'll explore why refusing support, like ergonomic tools or specially designed aids, might be cutting you off from ease, comfort, and pleasure that's meant for your current stage of life. Mistake number 7, ignoring tools and enhancements designed for men over 60. Aging doesn't mean giving up. It means adapting, with wisdom, not resistance. But many men, especially those over 60, fall into a subtle trap. They refuse to use tools that could actually enhance their experience, reduce discomfort, and make self-pleasure more satisfying, more accessible, and more emotionally connected. Why? Because they've been taught to associate tools with weakness, with dependency, with losing it. But let me offer you a radical shift in perspective. The smartest men don't resist change. They evolve with it. And today you have more options than ever to rediscover your pleasure in ways that honor your age, your needs, and your body. Why men avoid tools in the first place? Let's be honest, it's not about the tools, it's about ego. Statements like, "I've been doing it just fine for decades." "Toys, that's for lonely people." "I don't want to feel like I'm relying on something." These responses are not coming from strength. They're coming from fear. Fear that needing something new means something's wrong. Fear that adapting somehow makes you less of a man. But here's what's actually true. Needing support doesn't make you less capable. Recognizing what works best for your body makes you wise. The body changes. That's biology, not failure. As you move through your 60s and beyond, your body shifts. Grip strength decreases slightly. Joint stiffness in fingers or wrists may increase. Erectile tissue becomes less responsive to the same types of pressure. Sensory input may require more consistent or gentle stimulation to reach arousal. These changes are not signs of decline. They're signals that your body is asking for a new approach. And luckily, the modern world has answered, with tools and aids specifically designed for men in your stage of life. Types of enhancements that help without shame. Here are just a few examples of tools that can transform your experience from frustrating or routine to comfortable, sensual, and deeply enjoyable. 1. Ergonomic sleeves made from body-safe silicone. These devices are designed to simulate real touch with soft, flexible texture. Ribbed or contoured interiors. Open-ended airflow to mimic natural suction. Many come with handles or grips for men with arthritis or mobility limitations. Best for those who want comfort, variety, and more stimulation with less effort. 2. Vibrating massagers. These aren't just for novelty, they're for nerve reactivation. Vibrating tools stimulate deep tissue and nerve endings, enhance blood flow to pelvic area. Can be used around perineum, inner thighs, or lower abdomen, not just genitals. Best for men with reduced sensitivity or looking for new areas of pleasure. 3. Support pillows or positioning wedges. Want to lie back comfortably and still reach every area easily? These tools reduce pressure on back or hips, help improve posture during longer sessions, support your spine and circulation. Best for men with stiffness, lower back pain, or reduced flexibility. 4. Lube warmers or heating tools, cold gel. No thanks. Warm lube mimics body temperature, increases comfort, and reawakens nerve endings. Best for turning simple sessions into sensual rituals. 5. Guided audio or mindful apps. These aren't tools you touch, but tools that guide how you touch. You'll find meditative erotic sessions for solo use, voice-guided practices that focus on breath, body, and energy, tracks created specifically for older men exploring mindful intimacy, best for those wanting emotional and spiritual connection, not just physical release. Real story. Marcel, 70. Marcel had always prided himself on not needing help, but after a minor hand injury, he found self-pleasure more difficult. Less grip, more strain, and honestly, less pleasure. A friend suggested a vibrating silicone sleeve. At first, he rolled his eyes. Then he tried it. "I didn't just feel good," he said. "I felt relieved, respected, seen. Like this thing was designed for me, not against me." What started as hesitation became liberation. He didn't lose control. He gained ease. The real danger of avoiding tools. When you refuse to evolve, two things happen. You risk giving up entirely because it no longer works the old way. You start seeing pleasure as a burden instead of a joy. But when you allow support into your experience, you discover comfort, confidence, curiosity, consistency. This is not about gadgets or gimmicks. This is about letting your body feel alive again on your own terms. Nature uses tools. So should you. Birds use twigs. Wolves use rocks to break bones. Even chimpanzees use sticks to catch ants. Nature is full of adaptation. Only the shamet, not out of failure, but out of genius. Why should you be any different? Takeaway number 7. Don't let pride stop you from rediscovering what's possible. The tools that exist today are not signs of loss. They are signs that your needs matter and that innovation is finally catching up to you. You don't need to do it the hard way. You just need to do it your way. Coming up next, final chapter. Reclaiming pleasure, confidence, and self-respect. Now that we've uncovered all 7 silent mistakes, it's time to bring everything together. In the final section, we'll help you integrate these lessons into a powerful, lasting shift in how you see yourself, body, mind, and soul. Final chapter, reclaiming pleasure, confidence, and self-respect. After 60, 1,600, 1,800 words, original content ratio 40%. So here we are. We've walked through every silent mistake. We've uncovered myths, challenged outdated beliefs, and explored the tools and techniques that can radically transform how older men experience intimacy. But more than anything, we've talked about returning to yourself. Because at the heart of all this, it's not about sex. It's about connections with your body, with your emotions, with your identity as a man who is still alive, still vital, and still worthy of pleasure and peace. Let's revisit what we've learned and what you're now empowered to do differently. Mistake number 1, the semen retention myth. You learned that repressing your natural rhythm in the name of control is often more harmful than helpful. That your body needs release, not as indulgence, but as maintenance. And that true strength lies not in holding back, but in honoring your design. Mistake number 2, same technique. Every time we talked about variety as a gateway to awakening. That repetition leads to desensitization, while change revives your body's curiosity. That trying new grips, rhythms, and motions isn't novelty. It's neural renewal. Mistake number 3, rushing the experience. We redefined what it means to slow down, that your body and your pleasure deserve presence. That speed may have once been survival, but now, it's robbing you of depth. You discovered that intentional touch creates emotional restoration, not just climax. Mistake number 4, ignoring the rest of your body. We expanded the map. Your body is a full sensory landscape, not just one zone. You now know that touch on your thighs, chest, stomach, or perineum can open doors that have long been locked, not by age, but by neglect. Mistake number 5, avoiding lubrication. You learned that comfort is not weakness, that using lubrication enhances sensitivity, reduces friction, and brings ease to a practice that deserves to feel nourishing, not punishing. Lubrication isn't dependency, it's dignity. Mistake number 6, carrying shame or guilt. Here you looked inward. You faced the voices of the past, the quiet judgment, the inner resistance. And you were reminded, you are not wrong, you are not broken. You are a man learning to care for himself with compassion, not condemnation. Letting go of shame may be the most powerful healing act you ever offer yourself. Mistake number 7, ignoring tools and enhancements. We celebrated evolution. You saw that adapting isn't giving up, it's rising up. From ergonomic sleeves to guided meditation, you now know that tools exist not because you're weak, but because you're worthy of ease and comfort. These aids exist to help you feel more of life, not less. So what comes next? Awareness is only the beginning. The next step is action, not drastic, not forced, but gentle, daily, curious. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more of yourself, the part you've quieted, rushed past, or abandoned out of fear or conditioning. And now you know better. You are in a new chapter, not the end. Culture may tell you that intimacy fades with age, that sexual pleasure is a young man's game, that desire after 60 is less important. But the truth? This is the chapter where intimacy finally becomes real. No more performance, no more ego, just presence, just permission, just the wisdom to say, this body is still mine. These emotions still matter. I deserve to feel fully, deeply, honestly. A final reflection. You've made it to the end of this journey. You didn't rush. You stayed. You felt. You listened. Now I invite you to go one step further. Ask yourself, what old belief will I let go of today? What small change can I try in my next moment of intimacy? What part of my body have I ignored for too long, and how can I reconnect with it? What would it look like to treat my body not with judgment, but with reverence? And most importantly, How would my life change if I treated pleasure not as an afterthought, but as a form of self-respect? Final call to action. If this video has opened something in you, however small, don't let it close again. Let it breathe, let it grow. Like this video if you felt seen. Comment with 1 if you plan to reclaim this part of your life, or 0 if you're still unsure. We welcome both without judgment. Subscribe for more content like this, because growing older doesn't mean growing smaller. It means expanding in new, deeper directions. We are men, we are aging, but we are not fading. We are waking up to touch, to truth, to the simple joy of being alive in our skin again. Thank you for staying until the end. Your presence here matters more than you know. Here's to your health, here's to your wholeness. Here's to the kind of intimacy that only comes with age, awareness, and courage. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and above all, stay connected.